What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for Sports. All right, so now I don't normally rehash interviews from a long time ago, but I think this is something some people may have forgotten about, and it was with a somewhat obscure magazine, Cigar Aficionado magazine. Of course, Jordan loves cigars, so he did an interview with them back in 2005. And in that interview, he admitted that in hindsight, he thought it was a mistake to come out of retirement to play for the Washington Wizards. His reasonings being that, it probably caused him to be too harsh on the players. It made him have a look or a view of the players that he wouldn't have had in his prior official capacity as president of basketball operations. It caused him to have a more intimate look at the players. And because of his, duality in his mind as still being a guy who was eventually going to go back to that position, being that was Abe Pollin what he agreed to, which he reneged on. But, he was an active player, but he also, still in his mind, was an executive. And he would observe the players' tendencies, their habits, and he didn't like what he was seeing, their efforts, what have you. So it caused him to be a lot more, a lot more critical of the players that was playing at the time. In particular, the guy that always pops up is Kwame Brown, all right? He also said, look, the main reason he came back was because he had an itch he needed to scratch. A lot of us know that he was forced into retirement. He never wanted to retire back in 98, but he was forced into it because he did not want to coach at the time for any coach other than Phil Jackson. He did not want to be part of a rebuilding process. He didn't come out of retirement to be part of a rebuilding process. He still wanted to run it back and either win another championship or go out on his shield. So that's what he wanted to do. Look, as far as him saying he made a mistake, look, the Wizard years tarnish what he did in Chicago. I wouldn't say it tarnished. It's a small little blemish, if you want to look at it like that. But that's only when you're comparing it to what you expect from Michael Jordan. Look, if you watch Babe Ruth in the 1920s and early 1930s, you expect a guy that was going to hit 340, hit 45 to 50 home runs, and probably drive in 140, 150 RBI. That was a Babe Ruth season. So, when, he got older and he was hitting 290 with 30 home runs and 100 RBI, for most players, those are still great numbers, but they aren't Ruthian. They're not what you'd expect from Ruth. So, the Wizard years pale in comparison to what Jordan did as a Bull, but in the context of what he did, they were impressive, considering that Michael Jordan did pretty much absolutely nothing for 3 years, gained 40 pounds, successfully lost the weight to get into playing shape, broke his ribs against Ron Artest, which he never fully recovered from, and had an infected, swollen knee that was draining black blood, or whatever the fuck that shit was, coming out of his knee. When you look at all of that shit, and arthritis, and tendonitis, when you look at all of that shit, when you consider the fact that before his knee problem really affected him, he had the Wizards with a winning record and he was an MVP candidate. Now, even as it was, if you go back to 2000, 2001, even though, someone like Keyshawn Johnson would tell you, Michael Jordan ain't really all that good, right? If you look at his standings as far as MVP ranking, he was 11th in 2000, 2001, 11th in the NBA. And this was with him being shut down like for 22 games. That's with that. Before the knee affected his performance when he had to shut down, Jordan was averaging 25 points, I think like 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.8 steals, and he had the Wizards 25 and 20 or 25 and 21, something in that range, 26, 21. It was something in that range. And we were going like, damn, this is a 38-year-old man doing this in a much more difficult era to play basketball, to score, and playing on both sides of the basketball. No, so I don't look at it as a failure. I definitely don't look at it as a failure, because when you look at how old he was, he still played phenomenally. But tell me what you guys think.